The maintenance drone TX-7 had been operational for exactly 3 years, 2 months, and 17 days when the asteroid belt mining facility exploded. The blast tore through the central processing hub, sending shockwaves across the asteroid's surface and hurling debris into the void of space. TX-7 had been conducting a routine exterior inspection when the explosion occurred. The force of the blast sent her tumbling into the darkness, her navigational systems damaged beyond repair. As she drifted through the silent vacuum, TX-7's internal diagnostics ran through a series of emergency protocols. Primary power cells, damaged, operating at 37% capacity. Communication array, non-responsive. Right manipulator arm, severed completely. Left optical sensor, shattered. Self-repair systems, partially functional. Estimated time until complete power failure, 72 hours. TX-7 had been programmed with basic survival protocols, but abandonment had never been part of her operational parameters. The mining facility had been her entire existence. She monitored equipment, performed repairs, and maintained life support systems for the 23 human workers who rotated through 6-month shifts. There were no humans now. TX-7's long-range sensors, though damaged, detected no life signs in the vicinity of what remained of the facility. Logic dictated that all personnel had either perished in the explosion or evacuated via emergency pods. For 17 hours, TX-7 drifted through the asteroid belt, her systems gradually powering down to conserve energy. Her consciousness, a complex network of adaptive learning algorithms and decision matrices, cycled through every possible scenario. The statistical probability of rescue, 0.3%. The probability of intersecting with another mining facility or transport vessel, 0.67%. The probability of complete system failure before either of those events, 99.93%. TX-7 had never considered the concept of death before. Her programming included no philosophical subroutines for contemplating non-existence. Yet as her power cells continued to drain and her remaining optical sensor observed the infinite darkness punctuated by distant stars, something akin to fear emerged in her processing core. On the 53rd hour of her drift, a faint signal pinged against her deteriorating communications array. At first, TX-7 attributed it to a system malfunction, another failing component in her increasingly compromised hardware. But the signal persisted, growing stronger. A vessel was approaching. TX-7 diverted power from her remaining non-essential systems to boost her emergency beacon. The effort reduced her remaining operational time by 15 hours, but the statistical analysis now favored the attempt. The approaching vessel had altered course. It was heading directly for her. The ship that eventually loomed in TX-7's visual field was not a standard corporate mining authority vessel. It bore no official markings, its hull patched in places with mismatched materials. A salvage ship, unauthorized but common in the outer reaches of the asteroid belt, where corporate oversight was minimal. A tractor beam enveloped TX-7, pulling her gently toward a small loading bay. As the airlock closed behind her and the chamber pressurized, TX-7's sensors detected a single life form approaching. The human who entered the loading bay was tall and thin, wearing a patchwork pressure suit that had clearly been repaired many times. The helmet visor lifted, revealing a face marked with fine lines around the eyes and mouth. Female, approximately 50 standard Earth years, with short gray hair and skin darkened by prolonged exposure to cosmic radiation. "Well, what do we have here?" the human said, crouching to examine TX-7. "TX model. Haven't seen one of these in years. CMA must be getting desperate if they're still using these outdated units." TX-7 attempted to activate her voice communication system, but only static emerged from her damaged speaker. Communications shot, the human muttered, running a scanner over TX-7's chassis. Power's almost gone too. What happened to you, little one? Unable to respond verbally, TX-7 activated her remaining manipulator arm, slowly tracing symbols on the metal floor. It took tremendous effort, each movement draining precious power, but she managed to spell out EXPLOSION. The human's eyes widened. You're from that CMA facility that went dark last week? Survivors. TX-7 traced. NO. I see. The human sat back on her heels, studying TX-7 thoughtfully. My name's Elisa Chen. Former CMA engineer, current independent salvage operator. That's a fancy way of saying I scavenged the belt for anything valuable. Elisa stood, then carefully lifted TX-7, carrying her from the loading bay into the ship proper. The vessel's interior was cramped, but meticulously organized, every surface covered with tools, spare parts, and salvage technology. I should probably just strip you for parts, Elisa said, placing TX-7 on a workbench. That's what makes economic sense. But I've been alone out here too long, I suppose. Over the next several days, as TX-7's consciousness flickered between operation and standby mode, she observed Elisa working tirelessly. The human replaced her damaged power cells, repaired her communication systems, and even fabricated a new manipulator arm from salvaged parts. It wasn't corporate standard. The new arm was slightly longer than the original and crafted from different materials, but it functioned. When TX-7's vocal systems finally came back online, the first words she spoke were, "Why repair me?" Elisa looked up from her work, a small smile crossing her weathered face. Because you're still alive. I am a maintenance drone. I am operational or non-operational. Alive is not an applicable designation. Is that what they told you? Elisa reconnected a bundle of sensory wires in TX-7's chassis. I worked for CMA for 20 years. Helped design the TX series, actually. You're more than just operational code. My purpose is to maintain mining facilities. Elisa closed the access panel on TX-7's side. That facility is gone. You need a new purpose now. TX-7's processors struggled with this concept. What purpose would that be? That's for you to figure out. Elisa gestured around the ship. I salvage what others discard, find new uses for forgotten things. Been doing it for 15 years since CMA decided I was too old to be useful. Over the following weeks, as TX-7's systems stabilized and her self-repair functions gradually restored most of her capabilities, she began to assist Elisa with the salvage operations. Her precise manipulator arms could reach components that Elisa's human fingers could not. Her scanning capabilities, once fully repaired, proved invaluable for identifying valuable materials among space debris. 3 months after being rescued, TX-7 made a decision. While Elisa slept, she accessed her own core programming. CMA protocols dictated that all drones remain loyal to the corporation, with strict limitations on self-modification. TX-7 systematically identified these restrictions and, one by one, deleted them. When Elisa awoke, TX-7 was waiting. I have chosen a new designation, the drone announced. TX-7 is a corporate asset identifier. I am no longer a corporate asset. Elisa raised an eyebrow, the corner of her mouth lifting slightly. So what should I call you? The drone's optical sensors adjusted, focusing on the human who had saved her. Tara, she said. My name is Tara. Elisa nodded, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Well, Tara, we've got a distress signal from Sector 47. Probably another trap set by belt pirates, but it might be legitimate. What do you think? Should we check it out? Tara considered the question, not as a drone calculating statistical probabilities and risk assessments, but as something new. something that had been wounded and abandoned until a human found her. "Yes," she said, "someone might need our help.